Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive into something both terrifying and absolutely fascinating, the neurological automation system that is actually controlling your life. You see, the top 0.01% of experts understand a reality that most of us just completely miss, which is that we are not the ones in the driver's seat. So let's unpack the science of habit loops.
I want you to imagine this. Every single morning, before you even fully wake up, your hand just naturally reaches for your phone. You don't debate it, you don't consciously decide to do it, it just kind of happens, right?
Now, a lot of people think that's laziness, but it's not. That is actually a neurological automation system kicking in, one that is literally older than civilization itself. And experts understand something pretty scary about this. Your life is not controlled by your grand goals. It's controlled by loops. Tiny, invisible loops repeated thousands of times until they literally become your identity.
All right, let's dive into Section 1, the illusion of control.
Most of us grew up thinking that habits are just a matter of discipline. Just try harder, right? But history, neuroscience, economics, and psychology, they all reveal something so much deeper. Human beings are not rational creatures who just happen to have habits. Nope, we are habit creatures that only occasionally become rational. Which brings us to Section 2, the science of automation.
Here's the biological reality. Thinking is calorically expensive. It really drains your energy, so your brain intentionally compresses repeated behaviors into these automated sequences that we call habit loops. These consist of three parts: a cue, a routine, and a reward. Think back to ancient Rome. Their soldiers trained repetitive motions so intensely that during a battle, their bodies would react faster than conscious thought. Well, modern neuroscience has discovered your brain is doing the exact same thing to save precious energy.
But here's the catch. Elite experts know there's actually a hidden fourth layer to this loop, and that is prediction. You see, your brain isn't actually chasing rewards. It is chasing predicted rewards. And trust me, that distinction changes absolutely everything.
Moving on to Section 3, the dopamine trap.
We've all heard of dopamine, right? Most people believe it's the chemical of pleasure, but that is actually a myth. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation. Your brain releases way more dopamine before you get the reward than after you actually get it. This means social media doesn't addict you with its actual content. It addicts you through uncertainty. It's the maybe. Maybe the next scroll will be exciting. Maybe the next notification is a big deal. This is the exact same variable reward mechanism they use in casinos, originally studied in laboratory rats. Except now, we are the rats, and our cheese is a smartphone.
And here's what almost nobody realizes. Your habits are not stored in the part of your brain where conscious logical decisions are made. They are stored deep down in the basal ganglia, which is this ancient survival structure. What this means is that habits completely bypass logic. This is why you can absolutely know a certain behavior is destroying your life, but you still repeat it automatically anyway.
Simply put, knowledge does not override automation. Your environment does. This is exactly why top-tier performers don't waste their time relying on motivation alone. Instead, they focus on architecture. They literally redesign the physical systems and spaces around themselves.
Let's explore exactly how that works in Section 4, designing your environment. Nobel Prize-winning behavioral economists figured out that humans generally just follow default pathways. Basically, the easier something is, the more inevitable it becomes. So the absolute strongest habit tool you have is actually friction. Think about it. If you put a guitar right in the middle of your living room, your practice rates are going to rise dramatically. But if you put junk food out on a highly visible kitchen counter, your consumption skyrockets. By tweaking friction, you build an environment that practically forces positive daily actions.
So human behavior is shaped way less by your morality or your raw ambition and much, much more by proximity. Your entire future is often decided by invisible environmental design. Basically, if you want to change your life, you need to change the friction in your room.
Now let's zoom out a bit for Section 5, the habit of empire.
When we look at history, things get a little darker. We see that entire civilizations can actually collapse through collective habit loops. Ancient Rome normalized excess, the 18th century French aristocracy normalized luxury, and our 21st century modern society? Well, we've basically normalized complete distraction. Every empire develops these unconscious routines that eventually become completely self-destructive.
Because a civilization that's trapped in normalized distraction becomes economically weaker, psychologically fragmented, and incredibly easy to manipulate. And honestly, this fragility is exactly why entire billion-dollar industries are explicitly engineered around harvesting your focus.
Let me be completely clear here. Attention is the single most valuable resource in the 21st century. It's not oil, it's not gold, it is human attention. And protecting yours requires an elite-level insight into how to manage these automated loops.
Which takes us to our final section, Section 6, Rewiring Your Identity.
Here's the secret. Breaking a bad habit is nearly impossible because your brain absolutely hates behavioral voids. If you try to just remove a loop without replacing the reward, your brain experiences a massive amount of tension. That's exactly why people relapse. The cue and the craving, they're still there. So top performers don't try to destroy the loop, they actively redirect it. A smoker becomes a runner. A distracted consumer becomes a builder. The loop itself survives, but the direction entirely changes.
And this leads us to the most powerful habit loop of them all, which is your identity. When someone says, "I'm trying to work out," their brain views exercise as totally optional. But when that same person says, "I am an athlete," the behavior instantly becomes an act of self-consistency. Humans are psychologically addicted to acting in alignment with who they believe they are.
This is exactly why those tiny, small, repeated actions are so dangerous and so incredibly powerful. Every single action you take is essentially a vote for the person you are going to become. Missing one day doesn't really matter. But repetition rewires your identity. And your identity rewires your destiny, your income, and your relationships.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this. The real question you need to ask yourself is not, what habits do you currently have? The real question is, what future are your loops building without your permission? Because I promise you, your daily routines are not random. They are the algorithms shaping your entire life. So take a hard look at your environment today and ask yourself, what votes are you casting for your future?